What happens when you cross the Lian Li Vector V100 Mini and the Lian Li LANCOOL 217 Infinity? Well, the answer is the new Vector V150 Infinity. The long and short of it, the Vector V150 Infinity that we have here today is effectively the Vector V100 Mini with the LANCOOL 217 Infinity's eye-catching front panel infinity mirror design grafted on. Let's take a closer look at this case to see if it's any good. In terms of packaging, the Vector V150 Infinity comes in a run-of-the-mill brown cardboard box with your usual product illustrations and descriptions on all sides. Accompanying the Vector V150 Infinity is a single box of accessories as well as an instruction manual. Within the box of accessories, we get a thank you note like so. And this is accompanied by a whole bunch of screws, cable ties, rubber grommets for storage drive mounting purposes, as well as spare friction clips for the various panels of the case. With that, here it is, the Lian Li Vector V150 Infinity. Like the Vector V100 Mini, the V150 Infinity is only available in black, and the case features a traditional layout with a chamber at the bottom for your power supply and storage drives. Materials-wise, the V150 Infinity is made of a combination of steel, plastic, and tempered glass. The key difference that the V150 Infinity has over the V100 Mini, we get a tempered glass infinity mirror front panel with a layered ARGB lighting effect and circular cutouts for two pre-installed 140mm intake fans with infinity mirror hubs. This is pretty much the same aesthetic as the LANCOOL 217 Infinity that I reviewed some time back. Go check out the video if you haven't already done so. This gives the case a really unique and eye-catching aesthetic. We'll see these effects later on in the video when I've done up a demo build with this case. Like the Vector V100 Mini, the left side panel features a gradient design with a plastic bottom border featuring some grooves for a touch of aesthetic flair, but this time round, we don't get an illuminated ARGB lighting strip that runs along the said border on the inside of the case like we do with the Vector V100 and the Vector V100 Mini. As can be seen, the front panel connectors of the case are located right below the lower edge of the left tempered glass side panel. We get two USB 5Gbps Type A ports, a USB 20Gbps Type-C port, a 3.5mm microphone and headphone combo jack, a reset button, as well as a power button. Do note that the case does not come with a hard disk activity indicator light. The other side panel of the V150 Infinity is a simple steel panel with ventilation openings right above the side intake fan openings at the bottom chamber housing the PSU and storage drives. Again, like the larger Vector V100 and the Vector V100 Mini, I think it's no coincidence here that the ventilation openings form the shape of the alphabet L. Over on the top of the case, we get ventilation openings in the form of slats that span the entire length of the top panel, where it comes with an integrated dust filter. On the bottom of the V150 Infinity, we get ventilation openings for the PSU's cooling fan, where Lian Li's also included a removable dust filter. We do also get 4 plastic feet with foam-like inserts. For the rear of the case, we get lots of ventilation openings, and it's great to see that the expansion slot covers are of the reusable variety. We also get thumb screws instead of normal screws to hold the expansion slot faceplates in place, which is a nice premium touch to have. With that, let's get the panels off the Vector V150 Infinity. Lian Li's gone with a toolless design for the panels of this case, where you'll first have to remove the tempered glass side panel by undoing a thumb screw and prying the said panel off. The side steel panel and top panel can be pried off very easily without the need to undo any screws. As mentioned earlier, the top panel comes with a dust filter, where it's the sort that's integrated into the panel and can't be removed. The dust filter for the PSU's cooling fan, on the other hand, can be removed by simply sliding it out of place. It's worth mentioning that the front air intakes have removable filters too. Simply twist them anti-clockwise and they'll pop right off like so. Now, removing the front panel of the case requires a little more effort, where it's held in place by friction posts and can be pried off with some force. Do note though that the front panel does have cables that run to the built-in ARGB cum fan hub of the case, so you'll want to be careful when removing the said front panel. On a side note, if you're new to the ALK Tech channel, do consider subscribing so as to keep up to date with the latest releases in the PC hardware world. With that, onto the interior, starting first with cooling features. The Vector V150 Infinity comes with two 140mm ARGB intake fans pre-installed on the front, but they also come with an infinity mirror effect on the fan hub for some visual flair. As far as I can tell, you should be able to replace them with standard 140mm fans if they do fail, where replacing them should be pretty easy seeing as they're each held in place by the typical 4-screw kind of arrangement. Now, in terms of cooling hardware support, one difference that the V150 Infinity has over the V100 Mini is that we now get the option of using the side ventilation openings as space to install two additional 2.5-inch storage drives, courtesy of this new removable drive mounting plate. If you choose to remove this said mounting plate, we get support for up to two 120mm fans. Do note that due to space constraints, you won't be able to mount a 240mm radiator on the side panel. The V150 Infinity also comes with a pre-installed 120mm rear exhaust fan that has an infinity mirror hub, in line with the infinity mirror theme for this case. It's great to see that the three ARGB fans are already pre-daisy chained via an included ARGB cum fan hub, so that you can hook up just one 5V ARGB connector and one 4-pin PWM fan connector to your motherboard directly. If you're embedded into the Lian Li ecosystem with Lian Li hardware that supports the L wireless protocol, you can use the Lian Li L-Connect 3 app to control the fan speed and ARGB lighting effects wirelessly instead. This is because the ARGB and fan hub that comes included with the V150 Infinity also comes with an integrated wireless receiver for the lighting effects of the tempered glass infinity mirror front panel and the pre-installed fans. For this wireless connection to work, you'll need to utilize a L wireless controller that's sold separately. This said controller, like the one that I have on the screen, tends to come included with Lian Li's 3-pack wireless case fans. As can be seen, we get a physical switch on the hub that allows you to disable or enable the L wireless function. Disabling it allows you to sync the lighting and fan speed via your motherboard headers. Worth pointing out here that the three pre-installed case fans connect to the hub via proprietary connectors instead of the usual 4-pin PWM connectors, something to note if you do have to replace the fans down the road. In case you're wondering, here are the specs of the pre-installed fans that come included with the V150 Infinity. Over on the top panel of the case, we get support for either two 140mm case fans or three 120mm case fans. AIO radiators wise, the V150 Infinity supports either a 360mm or 240mm AIO radiator on the top panel. Finally, on the bottom panel of the case, right before where the gradient begins, we get support for up to two 120mm case fans. Do note that Lian Li's also included an opening on the said bottom panel for you to run your GPU's power cable through from your PSU. If you do use this opening, you'll only be able to install one bottom intake fan as a result. In terms of physical dimensions, the Vector V150 Infinity has the dimensions as stated on the screen. For folks intending to use an air cooler for their processor, do note that the case supports CPU coolers of heights no more than 163.5mm, according to the spec sheet for the V150 Infinity. For your graphics card, the case comes with support for graphics cards with lengths of up to 400mm. We've got a GPU support bracket that comes pre-installed within the case, where it has the same design as the one found on the Vector V100 Mini, being comprised of two parts, an upper bracket as well as a lower bracket. The upper bracket can be adjusted for position to suit motherboards that have their PCIe X16 slot in the first or second slot position, where it's held in place by a single screw. As for the bottom bracket, it's adjustable for height, where we've got a single thumb screw that's accessible from the bottom chamber of the case. You can adjust the bracket horizontally too, where you'll have to loosen these two screws to adjust the position of the bracket accordingly. Moving on to the motherboard tray, the Vector V150 Infinity comes with support for motherboards with rear connectors. This means that motherboards from say ASUS's BTF lineup, Gigabyte's Project Stealth series, or MSI's Project Zero lineup for instance, will be compatible with this case. In terms of PSU support, Lian Li indicates that the Vector V150 Infinity has 220mm of depth clearance for a power supply, which is mounted in the bottom chamber of the PC case. Do note that this figure is for when you do not have storage drives mounted in the first position as indicated on the screen. If you do have a drive installed in this mounting location, the PSU depth clearance drops to 150mm. For those of you intending to install 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch storage drives for your PC build with the V150 Infinity, we've got a drive bracket on the rear of the motherboard tray that supports a single 2.5-inch SSD, and this is accompanied by drive mounts in the bottom chamber of the case. The number of drives that you can install will depend on the depth of the PSU that you'll be using for your build with this case. As mentioned earlier, we also get two mounting locations for 2.5-inch drives on this ventilation opening cover that can be removed should you wish to install side intake fans instead. The front panel connectors of the case are pretty standard. We get a front panel USB 5Gbps Type A connector, and this is accompanied by a USB 20Gbps Type C connector, as well as front panel audio connector like so. Moving on, we do also get a 9-pin front panel connector for the power button and reset button. I appreciate the fact that Lian Li's used a 9-pin connector rather than standalone connectors which can be more fiddly to hook up to their respective header pins on the motherboard. As mentioned earlier, the included case fans are already pre-daisy chained together via the included L wireless hub, where correspondingly we've got a SATA power connector for the said hub. And this is accompanied by a 4-pin PWM fan connector, as well as a 5V ARGB connector. With that, let's do a demo build with the Vector V150 Infinity. Getting a micro ATX motherboard, a MSI B850M Mortar Wi-Fi into the case was pretty easy. The motherboard standoffs are already pre-installed on the motherboard tray, and as can be seen, we get enough space for maneuvering things around. Installing the power supply unit was a cinch too. Just make sure that you've got a PSU that meets the size requirements. For this demo build, I'll be using a Seasonic PSU that measures in at a depth of just 140mm, where it fits really easily into the V150 Infinity. CPU cooling wise, I've decided to go down the air cooling route, and I've installed a Thermalright Phantom Spirit 120 SE ARGB, which fits perfectly with no issues. While we're still on the topic of cooling, I've decided not to install any additional case fans so as to see how the vanilla thermal performance of the V150 Infinity will be like just with the pre-installed fans. The graphics card for this demo builds a MSI GeForce RTX 5060 Ti Gaming Trio OC 16G, where it measures in at 300mm by 125mm by 44mm and fits very easily into the case. Moving things along, and with the demo build nearly completed, it's a good time to talk about cable management. The Vector V150 Infinity comes with cable management openings in all the right places to make cable management just a touch easier, and over on the rear, I appreciate the inclusion of strategically placed Velcro straps to help guide cables along to where they need to go. I didn't put too much effort into cable management for this demo build, but I still think it looks pretty decent all things considered. And with that, here's a completed demo build with the Lian Li Vector V150 Infinity. In terms of thermal performance, I did a quick performance benchmark with the Vector V150 Infinity's demo build, where you can see the specs of the said build on the screen. With F123's in-game benchmark test, where I ran a 5-lap test for around 9 minutes in total, the Ryzen 9 9900X processor in the demo build achieved an average CPU temperature of around 59.1 degrees Celsius, while the RTX 5060 Ti Gaming Trio OC16G achieved an average GPU temperature of 66.4 degrees Celsius and an average GPU memory junction temperature of around 63.6 degrees Celsius. These results were achieved in an air-conditioned room with a temperature of around 28 degrees Celsius. A pretty decent set of results, I must say, given that I did not install any additional case fans at all. The idle temperatures and estimated noise levels with the demo build are as per what you can see on the screen, and for the thermal tests, I left the fan curves on their stock settings without any tweaks. Naturally, your thermal performance with this case will vary, especially if you're using different hardware from the demo build in this video. To sum up, I do think that the Lian Li Vector V150 Infinity is a pretty solid PC case offering, especially given the front panel infinity mirror effect that I do think is a real treat to look at. If the LANCOOL 217 Infinity is too bulky for you, but you really dig the infinity mirror aesthetics, at least you've now got the V150 Infinity as a very viable alternative. It retains all the plus points of its sibling, the V100 Mini, with good fit and finish, support for lots of cooling options, and nice quality of life features, all topped off by pretty good airflow out of the box even without any additional case fans. In terms of pricing, the V150 Infinity will go on sale with an MSRP of $84.99 US. For comparison's sake, the V100 Mini has an MSRP of $64.99 US, while the LANCOOL 217 Infinity is available to purchase for a price of $124.99 US for the black variant. Now, whether splashing out on this US $20 difference for the V150 Infinity over the V100 Mini is worth it pretty much boils down to how much you value having the infinity mirror front panel, but I do think that it's a very unique aesthetic that is currently unmatched by other competitor brands out there. With that, thank you so much for watching, hit the like button and get subscribed if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys around the next time.